Yo, what is up, guys? We got some cool death notes, but first, a small thing to make you laugh. So, I'm recording this from my beginner account. I got a new emulator, which is pretty smooth, so we upped the frames. So, yeah, besides that, I was doing giants like I'm always doing, just like, yeah, continue, please. And then the following happened. If you go to Kairos, I'm #1 giants in my guild. I have no clue how you get 38 seconds with my team, but apparently this team run 38 seconds. I'm pretty sure it was something with Tatu with a perfect proc rotation on like middle stage and on the final stage, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, let's look into the actual goodies of today. So at first I didn't really expect to make a video about it because I can currently only upload stuff at night because my upload during the day is really terrible. So it takes about like 20 hours to upload during the day, and at nighttime it takes about an hour. Super annoying. So yeah, all of my videos you see that are uploaded are pretty much like pre-planned and that kind of stuff, or yeah. So at first I didn't really want to make this video because I was like, it's late news already anyways, but then I had some questions about it and what I thought about it, and it's like, might as well put it in a video. So let's actually look into it. First of all, we're gonna have the multi-battle. I already read this, most of you already read this as well. We're gonna be able to do multi-battle during all of this stuff, which is really good. So you can actually... People can start doing RTAs while farming. That's personally for me what I like a lot, because it's either the choice of doing like 2 to 3 hours of RTA a day or farm those hours. People are gonna run out of crystals, so that's gonna be an issue for people. But also to do like labyrinth kind of stages. I noticed like myself, I'm slacking on labyrinth the moment it's already cleared, but it's actually pretty useful to still do this stage because you can get like decent rewards. TOA while farming is also pretty chill. Dimensional Rift while farming, that's some hella XP, boy. Like you can auto farm for XP and then you can also do more for XP. That's hella crazy, man. So you can also check placements, you can test like siege defenses, guild war defenses, that kind of stuff. You can watch like RTA replays. I really recommend that for people that want to get started with RTAs. Just while farming, just watch replays. Just watch a lot of replays. Just find or like people that have like same units as you do. How do they draft? What do they draft with? Put them in your favorites. Start checking them. That kind of stuff. That's the way. That's #1 step to how to get into RTA. Is just by watching replays, see what other people do, especially with units that are similar to yours, and that's how you get steps into RTA. So that's pretty cool. Things you cannot do is you cannot multi-battle and then multi-battle again, pretty much. So you can't... At first I was like, wait, we cannot do those things? Oh, it's like, you can't go into multi-battle and then auto-battle or like extra battle something again. That would be pretty overkill. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And then it looks like this, which is pretty dope. That's actually better because a lot of people were using like the end battle notifications, but if you're working with a tablet that doesn't have like a radar motor, or with an emulator or anything, then you don't really see when a battle is finished. And I think they implemented that like everywhere, so it will probably also be at your runes. I hope so, because that's where it's currently not showing that it is. But if it's also there, then you can always see like, hey, is your battle ongoing? Like, preferably I would have seen like it's currently saying like it's ongoing and probably has like a finished state, I guess. Oh, it's just an example, so it's just an example. But preferably it said like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, finished. That kind of stuff would be pretty cool. So that would be pretty nice. Okay, so I just checked this gameplay demo. I couldn't really show it here, but it pretty much just shows when it's done, I guess. It shows up, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, they're really trying to people to RTA, I guess. So then the real thing I wanted to talk about, artifacts. We're improving artifacts by changing artifacts to new artifacts, kind of. Cool. The only shitty thing is everything you have right now already will not be improved. So if there's rolls from like 3 to 6 going to 4 to 6, everything that was a 3 doesn't become a 4 right now. So pretty much all of your rolled stuff from before is shit. If you have any artifacts right now that are not rolled, don't roll them yet. I actually spent like 2 weeks, no, a week and a half of farming as of 10 since my last video, pretty much. That's pretty much, well, it's not necessarily wasted, but for a lot of these stats, it is pretty wasted. Because let's say if you have these kind of stats, then it's complete. Like if you have a 22% right now, it sounds really cool. But if you get like, you can get up to a max roll of what, 60? That's actually a lot of stats. That is actually a reasonable amount of stats. So let's actually look into what we have. So we have the crit damage going 4 to 6. Crit damage, recovery, and accuracy. I think the accuracy one is the one I like the most. Crit damage is the one that's mostly overrated. Actually, with all of this, I want to make a series about artifacts and where they actually use, what kind of artifacts should you use on which units, in which stage of which game, blah blah. I'm gonna make a different series about that. I don't want to go too in depth with artifacts in here, like just showcasing that. In those videos, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, I will talk about artifacts because I notice a lot of people are really messing up their artifacts, and I think with artifacts, people can really improve their gameplay on like a lot of things, like legit a lot of things. I'm just gonna go over which I think will be really good for like the changes. So we have the crit damage one, of course, it's decent, but I think it's one that's a little bit overrated. Recovery is pretty good, so that one up is pretty good. Accuracy can be pretty good on some certain units, which I will talk about, of course, in another video because whatever. I think accuracy is pretty good. Then we have damage dealt on fire, water, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. 3 to 5, which is pretty good. I don't want to necessarily say that this is good for like RTA that much. Well, could specific cases, but it's pretty good for dungeons as well. So if you could get like 5, so the max would be a 25 instead of a 20. So let's say it's pretty easy to get right now to get like a 12 to like 15-ish. Which 15 is double hero double blue roll at the moment. You can add a lot of damage of like wind on water, and therefore your illusion does a lot more damage in giants and that kind of stuff, and therefore you might be able to one-shot. So those kind of things are pretty nice. Then the damage received, I think that one was pretty OP already, especially for like arena and that kind of stuff. It's arena, siege defenses, that kind of stuff. They upped it with just that. I'm happy they didn't up the 6 in here because I think that one would be too OP. Then we have this one, proportional to lost HP. So how this one works is if you have 1 HP, which is equal to like 0.1% for most units, you will gain the full amount of speed, attack, or defense that you have as percent from your base. So let's say for attack you have Lucian 900 base attack. If you have 10% in this, you will gain 90 attack on a Lucian the moment you have 1 HP. Bit rounded there, but that 3 to 6% is not that much. Having your Lucian at 1 HP for gaining 90 attack is not that much. So that's for a 10%. Max was 30% before. Max is gonna be 60% later. Sure, you're not gonna get 60 rolls, but it is a lot more, and it starts with 8. So it's actually a really high up from like the lower base, because the lower base is not doubled, the lower base is nearly tripled. So that's actually pretty good. I think what they did in overall is I like to see the values, like they had like the lowest roll was a 1 compared to a highest roll is a 3. That's a 1 to 3 ratio. That's like 33% for the lowest one compared to the highest one. Whereas with a lot of stats you had like 2 to 4. 2 to 4 is 50%. So rolling a 2 to 4 is a lot more like forgiven for low rolls than a 1 to 3. You could legitimately get a quad roll bomb damage, which with 5%, or you can get a hero that rolls on it. What? No, wait, you can get a white artifact that rolls in it once, and that is 6, so it's already higher. So a legendary could be as high rolled in one stat as a white artifact, technically, with that in mind. So that is currently not the case anymore. I really like that, so that's good. Even upping this, whoa, they upped it. They upped the lowest to passing the highest on these. Well, okay, these were really shit. Okay. Whatever. So yeah, proportional to lost HP, and I think for HP and defense, it's still not gonna be that great. It could be pretty niche for, let's say, a Miho, that kind of stuff. Units you preferably have on like lower-ish HP. That could be quite good. Don't start throwing this on like Leo, Ragdoll, those kind of units, because they max damage already anyways with like the Torrent and that kind of stuff. But there's some few niche units, maybe some vampire units out there that could be beneficial from having attack. Defense, I don't really see that much. Speed, however, could be pretty nice if you talk about like Mollies, Tetras, even Friends, Raccoonies, like any typical healer, the moment you're lower HP, he gets more attack bar. Or or no more speed. It's not even more attack bar, you get more speed. Like straight up, let's say you have a max roll, it's 60. Most units have like 100 base speed. So the moment you're at 1 HP, you would get 60 speed. Then we're talking about like reasonable numbers. Like sure, you're not gonna get 60. Let's say you get like 40-ish, you get 40 speed the moment you're at 1 HP. You don't really want to be at 1 HP, but let's say you're at 25 HP, you still get like what, 30 speed, which is actually a reasonable like increase, and you can actually play around with that. And I feel for support, because I feel like in current meta with artifacts, I think this will actually switch. I think this will change the meta again. I think this will almost impact the meta in RTA especially more than the balance patch. And that's pretty strange, but this could be more impactful than the whole balance patch that just happened, because multi-hitters became that good because of artifacts. Currently, a lot of units are going to become really good because of artifacts. And that's why I really want to make this artifact series, because I think if you don't start farming artifacts and using correct artifacts on correct units, you're really gonna like lower your game, your value, your whatever. It's gonna like lower your progression in general. So I think the speed one for some support units could be really nice. Then we have the speed increasing effect, 4 to 6, still shit, don't use that. The counter 2 to 4, I don't really feel the counter. Like, okay, sure, Artemil, yes. Maul or Miho, maybe. Laika, like I would already go for Life Drain, I guess, but not that many units use that. Damage dealt by attacking together, that one is crazy to up that one, because this one is already really OP. For twins, if you're still using twins in some dungeons, it's insanely OP. For Rogues and that kind of stuff, Trikarus, that kind of stuff, this makes your Trikaru team do a lot more damage, because they always team up. They don't always crit, they don't always hit fire, they don't always hit dark, but they always team up. So it's always adding additional damage. So this one is actually pretty good to have that extra bomb damage. Crazy good. Like, you see me bombing in my rush videos, bomb is really good. Crit damage received from N, I think they could have one up this. I think they could have hired this. I wouldn't have minded if these were like 3 to 6, because how this one works is, let's say the enemy has 250% crit damage. It doesn't mean that, like, if you have this for, let's say you have 10%, which is pretty doable on the new standards. Let's say you have 10%, they hit 10k. It doesn't mean that they reduce, like, the damage by 10k, no. It means that, let's say the Lucian that was dealing 10k cards with 250 crit damage, it means that his crit damage is reduced from 250 to 240, but his attack is still the same. His artifacts additional damage is still the same. Everything else is still the same. You just minus 10% crit damage, which is actually a really minimal amount. And if you got like minus 20 crit damage on a Lucian, sure. If you actually get like minus 5% damage from wind, it's probably already more. Sure, not every unit is the same element, blah blah blah, but you kind of know what you're building against in defense kind of perspective. Is it really bad? No. Is it a decent upgrade? It's always an upgrade. Is it really a good stat? No, not so much. Life Drain. Life Drain becomes 5 to 8. Damn, that's, man. We increase the number from 1 to 5. That's 500%, homeboy. That's sick. That's sick. So Lycas, Rakans, like units you would throw on Vampire, they're gonna benefit from this. There's gonna be some. This works with Vampire. I'm not even sure. It was that shit before that. I'm not even sure, but I'm pretty sure it works with Vampire. And this is gonna be a crazy amount. Like, sure, like, okay, max roll, you can do 40% extra life drain. It's not the craziest amount, because you can also think of it like, if I add more stats to do more damage, I also life drain more. Right? So, and you do more damage. So that kind of goes like, okay, what works? But if you have like some damage artifacts that happens to be one of the lines is life drain, could be pretty nice. Then we have HP when revived and attack bar when revived. Those were really shit, so I'm not surprised those are upped. And still, I don't really expect those to be that great. Like the only units I can think of that I was like, ooh, it's not that bad, is like units with self-revive, like Pernas. Units with like self-protect or anything like that. Eladriel right now, Nigong, Tyrannies, that kind of stuff. Like you're not really throwing this on the units like, oh, I always use my Leo with a revive. I'm like, yeah, no, you're still not that great. Additional damage by HP. So it was 0-1 and it's gonna be 0-2, which I think is fair. And they gave like an extra number, so your increment is not like the full, but it's like 0.01 instead of like 0.1. So I feel that's fair. It's same again as like you had like a 1/3 of a roll compared to like a full roll instead of like these where you have like half a roll compared to a full roll. So I think that's fair. And then attack increasing effect, they are 1-upped both. I think that one is fair too, but it does give some potential to have some crazy like nukes for cleaves and that kind of stuff. So overall, I think good changes. I've been talking way too long already, didn't I? So then we have a few that they remove, which were the most shitty ones. Well, actually, the crit rate is really shit. The speed under inability, I felt that one was not that bad. If they would have given the speed under inability with these kind of stats, I would have picked it. Like the moment you are under inability, you gain like what, 40-50 speed. I would have taken that, man. I would have taken that. That would have been like super legit. Damage under inability, reflect, no. Crushing hit, that was the most stupid one. I'm happy they got rid of that. But the speed under inability, I would trade the speed under inability for these revive bullshit. Definitely, like definitely. But that's my opinion. But they also gave a few new ones. So crit damage up as the enemy HP condition is good, or crit damage when the enemy condition is bad. I'm not really sure what that means. What does that mean? Crit damage plus up to n% as the HP is good or bad. But good or bad is a relative term. When is it good or bad? I don't really know what's gonna mean with that. So maybe I should have read what other people say about that. But yeah, you can up crit damage when the HP is good or bad. Maybe it's like above and below 50%. Not really sure. Yeah, I could see the use in that, but I think that is pretty... I think too situational, and again, the crit damage up is not as good as just adding like a lot more stats. For example, for a Lucian though, if you use this for a cleave unit and you always expect them to be at full HP when you start hitting with this, yes, then it's pretty good. But then again, you would do like, okay, crit damage, oh, it's 4 to 6, cool, but where else do we have 4 to 6? Yeah, we might as well just add more damage in that thing in the first place anyways. And for Lucian, because he's multi-hitting, the additional damage from attack is actually better than the crit damage. So yeah. First two I'm not too sure about. Single target skills crit damage for turn. This one is pretty... The thing it's only 2 to 4, which is again pretty low. They could have easily like one up that, sure, but like they say like, oh, this is good on like our Aegir, sure, because all 3 skills actually have like single target hits. Kind of makes sense. And then if you want to do it this way, you actually have to do 3 of those, which then is pretty difficult. And in this you can do it in like one line, but it's less stats that you're gonna get from it. So it's actually, it's not 3 times as good, but it's like maybe 1.5 to 2 times as good. So it's decent improvement. It's a decent improvement. But is it really gonna be like that crazy? Like if you have like, let's say on those units 160, 170 crit damage, and you're gonna add like what, another 10 crit damage, you're gonna do crazy more damage? No. So I actually feel like you can even fit like better artifacts on that than this stat. But it could be, if it's just like another like additional line that's on the artifact, it could be pretty good. So yeah, overall I think it's pretty good. Some Q&A. So yeah, in other words, don't up your artifacts right now. But I do think this is all in all pretty good, pretty cool, pretty useful. And I think this is gonna shift the meta by a bit, because before the only artifacts that were actually really good were like the damage from X. So, or like damage increasing effects by X, speed, HP, defense, that kind of stuff. Mostly HP and attack. No, wait, mostly speed and attack, and HP a bit. Defense was me. But yeah, I think this will shift the meta a bit again. Especially in RTA. Maybe in Siege and other stuff, not that much. But artifacts are gonna become pretty important, and that's why I want to do these artifact kind of videos. So I just want to, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel to don't miss out on those videos. And what I'm planning to do is just gonna go over like, okay, Siege offense, one video. Which units do you use? What artifacts do you use? Siege defense, what artifacts do you use? What kind of stuff? Arena offense, maybe together with defense, because offense is kind of like all similar. Arena defense, maybe one specific. No, I think arena one in total. And then RTA, I think I can do RTA, like I can do probably one video per like element, or like all supports, all damage these. I don't know. There's so many RTA units with so many different like artifacts. So not really sure how I'm gonna fit in that one. But if you have any suggestions for that as well, it in the comments. So yep, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments as well what you think about these artifacts. If it is gonna be that impactful as I think it is, because I think a lot of people are like, ah, fun, and that's it. So I think this is pretty huge. It's just pretty, like, almost bigger than a balance patch in my opinion. It's pretty much saying like, oh, all runes you have, we're gonna add like more stats to those runes. I'm like, okay, that's gonna, and we're gonna add more stats here, but not here. So what happens to the units? You get the balance. You get the balance. So we'll see what it is. Talking way too long. Seiishizo here. See you in the next one. So already finished recording. Already was working on the edit. Well, pretty much finished the edit. I'm sitting here in the dark and I was like, why is this guy still talking? Why is he still talking? I have one more thing. Count to us. Take your time with this update to up this number. These are rookie numbers. We gotta up this number. 300 is not enough. Like, even this account, I have like 70. Already this account's like 20 days in and didn't even farm this stuff. If you properly want to farm this, if you properly want to save stuff that is properly good with high rolls, everything, there's so many different lines, there's so many different units, there's so many different potentials and options and things. We need at least 400, probably 500, maybe even 600 of these slots to actually fill that properly, because on my main I already have like 700 stored, because every 6-star that I have is storing 2 artifacts. Every. So please come to us, use this update to up that number, because this is a rookie number. Bye.